This is an AI-generated podcast based on the article Faith Has No Off Switch: How Steve of 828 Marketing Leads with Integrity in the Digital Age, written by Aundre Blasingame. The article link is in the show notes. Welcome back to Kingdom Factor Collective. I'm your host, Aundre Blasingame, and today I'm sitting down with Steve Horton, founder of 828 Marketing and Web Design, a Christian and family-owned agency with over 30 years of experience in the digital space. Steve, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. Really glad to be here.
So I want to start at the beginning because your origin story is genuinely fascinating. You were 19 years old, working night shifts at a credit union in Virginia, and the internet just shows up. Walk me through that.
Yeah, so, it's one of those things where you're kind of just in the right place at the right time. The internet arrives, and most people are still trying to figure out what a browser even is, and I'm already in there, automating systems, building web applications. It was wild. And within a few years, I'd helped build the first e-commerce site for the federal government, worked alongside brands like Nike and Black & Decker. I was the young guy who actually got what the web could do,
That's incredible. And now 30 plus years later, 5 businesses, 3 marketing agencies, you're leading 828 Marketing. The name 828, that's not just branding, right? Can you unpack that?
Not at all. It comes straight from Romans 8:28 through 8:30. Those are what I call my family scriptures. So naming the agency 828, that's intentional. That's a statement about what we're built on. It's not a marketing hook. It's genuinely who we are.
I love that. And it connects to something you've said that really stuck with me. This idea that there's no such thing as a work self and a church self. Like you've seen people operate that way and it just never clicked for you.
Right, exactly. I ran into a lot of guys who were Sunday and Wednesday people. Their faith was pretty clear then, but when they went into business, they didn't even think they had to act different. That's my church self. This is my work self. And I really never got that. I mean, how does that even work? Your identity doesn't change when you walk into a boardroom.
So practically speaking, what does that actually look like at like 6 in the morning before the emails start rolling in?
That's a great question. And people expect me to say, here's my devotional checklist, here are my memory verses, but it goes deeper than that. I'm a type A guy. I've led teams since my mid-20s. Surrender doesn't come naturally to me. But what I've had to learn is that it's not about what I do to honor God. It's about what is my spirit about the whole thing. Have I already decided to cast my anxiety aside? I have a sovereign, omnipotent, omniscient God who is in control of everything. Am I really going to stress about everything today? That posture, that's the thing.
Yeah, and that's identity, not tactics. I think that's a distinction a lot of people miss. You also reference the qualifications of an elder from Ephesians as a leadership framework. That's not something I've heard many business leaders talk about.
Yeah, and it really makes sense when you think about it. Self-control, integrity, hospitality, sound judgment. If those attributes are required of church leadership, why would the standard be any lower in business? It wouldn't make sense for it to be. That's the same person, same value, same God.
Okay, so I want to get into something specific here because you shared a story that really illustrates how your faith lens goes beyond just being ethical. There was a situation, a contract, where you walked away from money you were legally and ethically entitled to. What happened?
So here's what happened. The scope on a project was overestimated. The work came in well under the original quote, and the client had already signed and agreed to pay the full amount. Legally, defensible. Ethically, most business owners wouldn't think twice. But I walked away from it because here's the thing. I could be ethical and still violate my faith. Our first lens is always our worldview, and our worldview is built around our faith. If I look through that lens first, it eliminates a lot of the other ethical and integrity issues because my lens is a lot cleaner than just standard ethics. Does that make sense?
Completely. And what's fascinating is you don't lead with your faith in client conversations. You serve commercial businesses across all kinds of industries. But people still notice something. I think you mentioned a Jewish client who said something to you that stuck.
Yeah, and that moment, I'll never forget it. He said, I don't agree with your faith, but I really appreciate the way you guys try and live it. And that meant everything. Not because it was a conversion moment, but because it was evidence that living with integrity without forcing your faith on anyone speaks a language everyone can hear. That's witness. That's real.
That's powerful. Okay, last thing I want to hit, because you said something that I think every Christian entrepreneur needs to hear. You talked about the danger of trying to do this alone. You've watched prominent pastors fall, ministry leaders drift. What's the warning you'd give?
The warning is this: don't convince yourself you can handle it alone. All of our sins are things that, in that moment, we chose to do. We wanted to do them more than we wanted to honor God in that moment. You'll find yourself making exceptions. You'll concede here, you'll concede there. That's why prominent pastors fall. If we don't have that support, we're basically letting pride get in the way of ourselves. The antidote isn't more willpower, it's community. Find people who share your values, stay in the Word not as a routine but as real nourishment. Be accountable to someone who will actually tell you the truth.
Steve, this has been genuinely great. I think the thing I keep coming back to is this idea you landed on. You're not a business owner who happens to be a Christian. You're a child of God who happens to run a business. That sequence matters.
That's it exactly. That sequence determines everything: what lens you use, how you treat the client who will never know the difference, whether the people around you can see something worth asking about. It's every day of the week, not just Sunday.
Love it. Steve, thank you so much for your time and for being so open about how you lead. Folks, you can find the full article this episode is based on in the show notes. Definitely worth the read. And if you're a Christian business leader with a story worth telling, we want to hear from you. Connect with Kingdom Factor Collective and share it. We'll see you next time.